You know what? It's been nearly a decade since Star Trek Beyond hit theatres, and the Enterprise crew's next big screen mission has felt like one long warp delay. But after years of rumours, rewrites and radio silence, Star Trek 4 is finally showing signs of life. The first update is that it's reportedly titled New Horizon. Yeah, so between Simon Pegg's candid comments and Paramount's shifting movie slate, fans are piecing together what this long-awaited sequel might actually look like. And it turns out it might not be the dark, heavy sci-fi blockbuster that many expected, but something closer to the original series itself. Predictions for what we'll see. If New Horizon follows the creative direction Simon Pegg has been hinting at, fans can expect a very different kind of Star Trek movie than the last few. Instead of another galaxy-ending war or revenge-driven villain, this story could focus on exploration, moral choices, and the personal toll of long-term space travel. The Enterprise crew has supposedly completed its 5-year mission, so the plot may open with them facing what comes next, a new threat that challenges their ideals rather than their firepower. Chris Pine's Kirk might finally grapple with the legacy of leadership, moving past the reckless adventurer we met in 2009. Spock, played by Zachary Quinto, could face a crossroads in his Vulcan human identity, echoing Leonard Nimoy's classic inner conflict. Fans also expect bigger storylines for Zoe Saldana's Uhura and Karl Urban's McCoy, who've often been underused in past films. There's speculation about new faces joining the bridge crew, possibly a young Starfleet prodigy or an alien advisor that pushes Kirk and Spock's partnership into new territory. Visually, the film is expected to go bigger than ever before, with fresh planets, complex civilizations, and a return to the wonder that defined the original series. If New Horizon nails that balance between spectacle and heart, it won't just be another sequel. It'll be the movie that restores the optimism and imagination that made Star Trek timeless. Simon Pegg breaks his silence on Star Trek 4. After years of speculation, Simon Pegg finally spoke up about the status of Star Trek 4 during a Variety interview to promote Mission Impossible. Pegg was asked if he knew what's next for Scotty and the crew. His answer? Honest, funny, and a little uncertain. "I'd love to do a 4th movie," he said. "There's always mutterings about it. I've never heard anything to suggest we're going to do one." It's a sentiment that's been quietly echoed by his co-stars, Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana, and Zachary Quinto, all of whom have voiced the same hope and confusion about whether they'll ever suit up again. Still, Pegg's tone wasn't bitter. He sounded like someone who still cares deeply about the franchise, but wants to make sure that if Star Trek returns, it does so for the right reasons. The push for a brighter, classic Trek tone. Pegg also used the moment to call out a trend he thinks has hurt modern sci-fi, the obsession with being dark and gritty. "These days, everything becomes very gritty," he said, "but Star Trek doesn't have to be full of death and swearing and questionable morals to be for adults. It just has to be thoughtful and imaginative." Now that comment immediately caught fans' attention, because it's exactly what older Trekkies have been saying for years, that the Kelvin timeline movies, while exciting of course, lost a bit of the optimism that made Star Trek special. Pegg wants the next movie to recapture the hopeful, adventurous spirit of the 1960s series, the one that inspired countless scientists, writers and dreamers. "I'd like to see Star Trek get back to the spirit of the original series a little bit," he added. "Get out there on that 5-year mission." So, what's really happening behind the scenes? That 5-year mission might sound poetic, but behind the camera, things are anything but simple. Paramount has been juggling multiple Star Trek projects, including an origin movie directed by Toby Haynes, which was officially added to the 2026 release slate. This film, said to explore Starfleet's early days, will reportedly arrive before Star Trek 4. Meanwhile, Pegg's Kelvin timeline film is still somewhere in development limbo, even as cast and fans wait for official word. Still, the tone from everyone involved is cautiously hopeful. Pegg's comments, paired with industry chatter, suggest that the New Horizon project could finally take shape once Paramount's ongoing merger with Skydance is settled. So, who's expected to return to the cast? For fans of the Kelvin timeline, one of the biggest questions has been who's actually coming back. So far, no official cast list has been confirmed, but it's hard to imagine Star Trek 4 without its core crew. Chris Pine has already voiced interest in returning as Captain James T. Kirk, though he's also admitted to frustration about the delays. Zoe Saldana, who plays Uhura, has expressed similar feelings, calling her time with Star Trek a beautiful chapter she's always willing to revisit. Zachary Quinto, Spock, and Carl Urban, Dr. McCoy, have both said they'd beam up again in a heartbeat if the story felt right. And then there's Simon Pegg himself, who doubles as both Scotty and one of the franchise's most passionate defenders. Pegg co-wrote Star Trek Beyond, so his voice carries extra weight when talking about tone and direction. His hope for a more light-hearted, imaginative adventure might be exactly what gets the crew together again. A return to a sense of wonder rather than constant crisis. The origin movie and the Kelvin timeline. Meanwhile, Paramount has a second project brewing in the background. A Star Trek origin movie directed by Toby Haynes from Andor. This one is said to be a prequel set decades before Kirk, Spock or Pike, exploring the birth of Starfleet and the first warp-era expeditions. It's expected to set up a whole new era of storytelling, running in parallel with Star Trek IV New Horizon. The idea seems to be balancing nostalgia with a fresh start, tying the Kelvin films back into a broader cinematic roadmap. Fans first heard about this during Paramount's 2026 film slate announcement, though the studio went silent afterward, not even mentioning Star Trek at CinemaCon. Still, insiders claim the two projects aren't competing. Instead, the origin film might even expand the universe and strengthen New Horizons' emotional impact. So, when could Star Trek IV actually release? So when could fans finally see New Horizon hit theatres? If the latest production rumours are accurate, Paramount is still eyeing a late 2026 release window, though that could shift depending on how the merger with Skydance shakes out. Since Skydance co-financed Star Trek Beyond, the partnership could help stabilise production and lock in the schedule once paperwork clears. Right now, the safest bet is late 2026 or early 2027. That would mark just over 10 years since the last Kelvin movie, a long hiatus even by Star Trek standards. But as long as the creative direction matches Pegg's vision, hopeful, clever and true to the series' roots, fans seem ready to wait. So what fans can expect from New Horizon? So what will Star Trek IV New Horizon actually look like? While the plot remains tightly under wraps, a few hints suggest the movie could follow a more classic exploration-driven storyline rather than another Earth-bound threat. Pegg's call to return to the spirit of the original series seems to reflect a wider creative shift inside Paramount, one that favours wonder over warfare. Insiders suggest that New Horizon may open after the new crew completes their 5-year mission, introducing them to an unknown region of space that challenges everything they know about Starfleet and themselves. Think less end of the world, more what's beyond the edge of the map. It's also expected to be more character-focused, giving Pine, Quinto and Saldana moments that echo the warmth and humour of the earlier films, especially Star Trek 2009. And while there's no official villain confirmed, fans have speculated that New Horizon might introduce moral or existential dilemmas rather than a traditional antagonist, something closer to the cerebral storytelling of episodes like The City on the Edge of Forever. How the Paramount merger complicates it all. Of course, before the Enterprise can launch again, Paramount has to steady its own course. The ongoing merger with Skydance, the same studio that co-produced Star Trek Beyond, has created both optimism and uncertainty. The deal was expected to close by late summer 2025, but delays have pushed that timeline further. Industry insiders believe Star Trek IV is being held back until the merger's finalised, ensuring consistent financing and creative control under one roof. Now that might explain why no filming dates or official director confirmations have surfaced yet. Until Paramount and Skydance finish aligning their priorities, every Trek film from the origin story to New Horizons remains in orbit. Still, Pegg's recent comments make one thing clear. There's genuine desire among the cast to return, even after years of uncertainty. And with the success of Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy fueling new fan enthusiasm, Paramount would be hard-pressed to ignore the momentum. Is this truly the final frontier for the Kelvin crew? Rumours have swirled that Star Trek IV might serve as a farewell for the Kelvin timeline, giving Kirk and his crew one last cinematic voyage before passing the torch. While no one at Paramount has confirmed this, the title New Horizon almost feels, well, symbolic, a nod to both the end of one journey and the start of another. If true, it could mean New Horizon will aim for something emotionally satisfying, not just another spectacle, but a film that reminds audiences why these characters endure. After all, as Pegg himself said, Star Trek doesn't need to be dark to be powerful. It just needs to be smart, hopeful, and human. So, do you think Star Trek 4 will actually happen this time, or is it just another promise lost in space? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy and live long and prosper. See ya. Bye.